Pets these days are considered to be among the best companions of people. While they cannot necessarily speak or talk to human beings, people find comfort in confining their pets and having them around the house. The common types of domestic pets include dogs, cats, birds, and fish. Most two typical ones are the dogs, because they are considered to be man's best friend, and the cats love to purr and cuddle. These cute little bundles of joy look harmless and bring comfort to their owners. However, in Japan, this was not always the case. There are many superstitions and folklores surrounding animals in general, including domestic pets, among them being cats. There is a Japanese folklore that believes that these are monsters within cats that came out of a certain age. Some believe that they would turn into beasts known as nikomata, after a certain name after being in the house. These beasts were believed to devour human beings and kill just for fun. This was just made on an impact somehow with some people who believe the Japanese folklore can take care of their domestic cats until the day. Sadly, this effect has not been the best for the welfare of the cats in Japan. With Nico translating to cat in English, the Nikomata is a type of cat yokai that originated from the Japanese folklore. It was first mentioned by Yodiasha Kinto in his literary Jotains during the Kamakura period from the year 1185 to the year 1333. This scroll called the Tersuru Gosa, or the Harvest of Leisure, also called Essays in Endlessness, Yoshida stated that the Kimomata exists deep in the mountains that feed on human flesh. It was also around the time that Fujiwara Sadi mentioned the existence of the Nikomata, and his scroll called the Mechikusuri, or the Record of the Stellar Clear Moon, also known as the Diary of the Clear Moon. During the Kamakura period, there were no accounts that relayed supernatural abilities of the Nikomata. The beast only considered a regular predator that lived on the mountains. It is new bonus to the public, whatever the accounts stated by both Yodusha and Fujiwara were based on the actual creature, or something else altogether. What is to be sure is how recounting the events of their scrolls affected by the readers and the general public. It caused fear amongst other people, all that have not seen the Nikomata before. Upon arrival of the Edo period, the folk legend consisting of the Nikomata involved, throughout the years, the size of the Nikomata increased with each telling of the story. The Nikomata was described to be bigger than a wild boar in the book entitled Shiniko Morijo, or literally collection of hearings, published in the year 1685. Come the year 1775 in the book entitled Wakusori, or a bookmark of the Chinese characters. The size of the Nikomata further increased. It described as large as a panther or lion, with its growl resounding through mountainous regions. This further involved the Nikomata was depicted as having a large more than 6 feet in the air in the year 1809. It was also said that the creature was big enough to carry a dog in its mouth. It was during the Middle Edo period at the time domestic cats turning into the Nikomata first appeared. It was believed to be more dangerous to keep a cat in the house for too long, as it might transform into the Nikomata. Furthermore, it was said that the tail of the old cats would be split into two for its time of their transformations. The idea was explained and supported by the books by Enshi Shizuku, or the literary jottings of Ensei, written by Yusuke Judiso Kazukiya, or Nico or Cats Various Ages, written by Else Fuditake. A scholar by the name of Arya Hakusi further increased the popularity of this belief throughout his essays. About the mysteries of cats, his essays were printed in newspapers that were widely circulated around that time. probably among the most famous stories in relation to the Nikomata. The Nikomata fire was the amongst the many stories compiled to the 1708 Yamagokagi, or Mysterious Stories from Japan. The tale talks about how the house of samurai was taken over by a ghost-like haunting. The problem only ended up when the house of the family with the cat was killed, to which it considered a feat, where it was revealed to have two tails. Many people mistake the Nikomata for the Beiko Neko, while the two have the same original life, being the house cats before transforming into beasts. The Nikomata was more hostile. Not only they're older and larger cats compared to the Banani Neko, but they also have longer tails that would split into two. Furthermore, not all Beiko Neko were malevolent, as the Nikomata definitely are. It is also believed that the Nikomata are also more able to speak human language in comparison to the Bananiko. Due to their larger size, the Nikomata are also able to cause more damage and wreak havoc of comparison to the Bananiko. The belief of the Nikomata and its evil acts began in the year 1233, was the beginning of the Tenpeiku of the 8th month of August, during the early years of the Kamakura period. A statement was made that Fujiwara in the scroll Megisuki, which was a Nikomata, killed and gobbled up many people in just one night in Nanto, which is also known as Nara Prefecture. This was the first time that the Nikomata appeared in literature. It is also believed that the Nikomata was a monster living in the mountains. In this Meiji Tsuki, the Nikomata was described of that of having eyes of a cat, but a body of a large dog. It was also believed that the Nikomata would attack humans who were in more chance in the mountains and regions than the chances of becoming a victim of the Nikomata, depended on many factors, as how deep the person is in the mountains. The Nikomata were also cunning creatures that caused several tricks in order to lure people in the mountains. One of their many tricks include mimicking the sound of cries of people who were in peril. Their tricks were not limited to this, as they would do anything to lure their prey into the dangers of the mountains and away from the safety of their homes. These victims, upon encountering the Nikomata, would be attacked, killed, and eaten by the beast. While its appearance was still uncertain, most descriptions of this monster were still quite scary. Another trick that the demon cat would do in order to kill more people is to transform into a human form. They are not limited by only a single human body. This means they could transform into anyone, even into a person's mother or relative. Once they are able to trick the victim into thinking that it's a loved one in danger, and the victim gets closer, the Nikomata would attack the victim unguarded. On the other hand, there was also another type of the Nikomata, which is also a domestic Nikomata. Kittens that were raised in homes will grow up to be normal house cats. However, it is believed that some people would that these house cats would gradually develop certain powers that would enable them to enter their owners. But they would turn into the Nikomata and leave the house to travel in the mountains, where they would join the mountain counterparts, kill and eat humans. Sadly, this folklore has affected many lives of many cats, whose owners believe in this mythology. For it was believed to be only the domestic cats turned into the Nikomata. A number of this feline species would be left out in the cold after reaching a certain age. While this is a sad and cruel outcome for the cats, it was deemed unnecessary for the believers in order to prevent the transformation of the cats into the Nikomata. Another skill or power of this devil cat was believed to have the ability to talk to the dead. Not only that, the Nikomata also said to be able to control the dead and use to torment on human beings. They would do this to spread mischief and cause misery among humans. A trick that they would do further to torment a person is to taunt them with the visions of their loved ones, who have already passed away. On the other hand, it is sad that they only generally do to the people who have caused them harm while the cats were still alive. Due to their many powers, it is said that the Nikomata has been enslaved humans by blackmailing them. Another way to kill humans over than eating them is causing chaos and large fires. They would find a great pleasure of wreaking havoc among humans. The cruelty of the Nikomata truly is unparalleled. Tormenting humans just for the fun and seeing them suffer is not something a creature with consistence would do. One person, as a matter of course, retained this Nikomata. In fact, he is inquired to do something in a way of folly, if only to counterbalance the heavy wisdom of his drinking buddies, not to mention himself. But as I've already observed, the Nikomata, in 99 cases out of the 100, resemble of all cats, but with all split tail. So that way there was no small source of self-graduation to that. In the Fujio, it was the Nikomata's name. He possessed a triplicate treasure in one person. I believe the name Fujio was not given by a feline from the sponsors of activism, but it was conferred upon him. A general consent of men and that one account. Fujio's magical abilities revolve around manipulating the dead, the death force, or the souls of the good, resurrecting the dead, evil in various ways, or neither. He can also communicate with the deceased. Either he has summoned the spirit or an apparition, or raising them boldly, for the purpose of divination, imparting the means to foretell future events or discover the hidden knowledge. He also finds another way to cheat death one way or another, whatever becoming a form of the undead creature or bypassing their own ability to die. Fujio can also create, shape, and manipulate the fire, a rapid oxidation of material in ephemeral chemical process, combustion, releasing heat, light, and the various reactions products, the flame being visible to portion part of the fire. Depending on the substance alright, many impurities outside, the color of the flame and the fire's intensity will be different. I am not able to say the precaution from what the Japan Fujio originally came from. It was a Sendio, a vast distance from the court of the man who was from Tokyo. Fujio, a young teenage girl with very less magical than himself, although exquisite proportions and a marvelous dancer, had been forcibly carried off from the respective homes of adjoining provinces and sent presents to a man, one of his crooked but yet ever victorious friends. The two captives chanted and showed each other the talents they possessed. They quickly became close friends. The man, I still don't know his name, that he's sure a complete stranger to me, is a very, very wicked man. He has been in trouble with the law for quite some time, and not once he did ever stop drinking and picking fights. Everyone in Tokyo knew about the crimes and his friends pulled, and they definitely knew about the incident. With some of the schoolgirls, now that he and his partners and crime had been laying low until the heat was off, and were sitting at the table as they drank some sake. Sake is an alcoholic beverage made by a fermenting rice that has been polished and removed from bran. Despite the name, unlike the wine in which alcohol is produced, fermenting sugars that is naturally present in fruit, typically grapes, sake is produced by the brewing process more akin to that of beer, where starch is converted into sugars, which fermentate into alcohol. As they sat there and drank, they fought about what to do. Today was January 1st, and they needed to do something around New Year's Eve, so the only thing they could do was call for Fujio. The man knew Fujio wasn't very fond with the alcohol, but the excitations of the feline almost instantly. And instantly is never a good thing. But since this douche really loves to make an ass out of everyone, including the animals, he thought it would be funny to see Fujio drunk. He looked over at Fujio, who was glancing out of the window. "Come here, Fujio," said the man. The Nikomata did as he was told, walking on his two hind legs. "Swallow his sake for the health of your absent families. We want characters. Characters, my friend. Something exciting out of the blue. We are very worrying everlasting boredom. Come drink. The sake will brighten your wits." The man poured a large glass of sake and handed it to the Nikomata, who took it, and today, the Nikomata's birthday, and to drink the absent families, brought to tears into his eyes. Large bitter drops fell into the glass. Then Fujio placed the glass on his filled lips and drank the sake. Ah ha ha! The man laughed. See what a good beer can do? Why, your eyes are shining already. Poor fellow, his large almond-shaped eyes seemed to be glanced over more than shown. He placed the cup down and glanced over around the room with a half-insane stare. His faint breathing began to hitch as his eyes began to spin. And now down to business, said one of the crooks, a short bald man. Yes, the man replied. Come with me, my fellow. We stand in need of characters. All of us. Ha 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 ha. Since this was a joke, the man's cackles were chorused by the other criminals. Fujio laughed a bit as well, but this was from his intoxication, and didn't know what was going on. Come, come, said the man impatiently. Have you got nothing to suggest? I am endeavoring to think of something exciting. The man then raised his eyebrow at the cat's response. Endeavoring? What do you mean by that? Ah, perspective. You are sulky and you want a more sake? Here, drink this. The man poured another glass and handed it to the Nikomata, who merely gazed at it, gasping for breath. Go on, the urged bastard. I haven't got all day. The crooks smirked at the sight. This girl, Kanata, was their name, and saw this, went over to the man, and pleaded for him to stop. The man saw this and didn't know what to do or say. It was not common for anyone, including women, to grove at his feet. Usually they knock his teeth out or call the emperor's men to take him to the dungeon, lock him in a cell, or throw away the key. He finally thought about what to do at this point, and looked at his merry band of goons, and then back at Kanata. Finally, without uttering a single syllable, he shoved her violently from him and splashed the contents of sake into her face. She then got up slowly, without staring and never for any shed of tears, and made her way out of the table. There was dead silence for a few moments, so much so the pin dropping could be audible. Then, suddenly, there came a low, dull, grating sound that emitted out of nowhere. It was so loud that it bounced off the walls and almost shook the entire house. What were you making that noise for? A demanded man, turning furiously to the Nikomata. The latter seems to have recovered, and a great giant measure from his intoxication, and looking fixedly but quietly into the monster's face, merely ejaculated, what could have been me? The sound appeared to come from without, observed with the crooks. I fancy it was a demeanor of sake shaking the earth. True, replied the drunkard, as if much revealed to their suggestion, but I am in honor of the samurai. I could have sworn that it was gritting the devil's teeth. Hereupon the cat laughed and heard of many ways, and displayed a set of fangs. More, however, he vowed his perfect willingness to swallow as much sake as he desired. The man pacified, and given the drain of another glass, with no very predictable ill effect. Fujio still entered at once, and with the spirit, into the plans for New Year's Eve. I cannot tell what was the association of this idea, observed Fujio, very tranquilly, and as if never had tasted alcohol in his life. But just after this gentleman, I had struck the girl and thrown her out of the alcohol and into the face. Just after this man had done this, and a wild demeanor was making its odd noise, there came into my mind a capital diversion. One of my own species' traditional frolics, often enchanted among us, and at our festivals, but we are here all new together. Unfortunately, however, it requires a company of 6 persons, and we are, cried the man, laughing at the acute discovery of the coincidence, 6 to a fraction, and I have 5 friends. Come, what is the diversion? We call it, replied the Nikomata, the 6 onis, and really isn't a sport if well enchanted. We can enact it, remarked the man, drawing himself up. lowering his eyes. The beauty of the game, continued Fujio, lies and frightens occasions among the women. Capital, roared the man, as he began to have a huge smile on his face. I will equip you as Onis, proceeded the Nikomata. Leave it all to me, and resemblance shall be striking, and the company of the predators would make you real ogres, and of course they will be as much terrified as astonished. Oh, this is quite a steak, exclaimed the man. Fujio, I will make you immortal. The stilts are there for the purpose of making you taller. You are supposed to escape denouement from the gates of hell. This man cannot conceive the effect of produced, and at the festival, by 6 Onis, imagined by real ones, most of the company, and rushing at the savage cries. Among the crowds, delicately and gorgeously inhabited by men and women, the consist is imaginable. It must be, said the man, and the other criminals aroused hurriedly, as if growing late, put into the execution of the scheme of Fujio. His mode, equipping the party of Onis, was very possible, but very effective for the purpose. The ogres are in question. At the approach of my story, one of the greatest Oni icons of the Japanese folklore. They are large and hellish, standing taller than the tallest man, and sometimes many times at that. They come in many varieties, but most are commonly depicted with red or blue skin, wild hair, 2 or more horns, and fangs like tusks. Other variations exist in different colors, with different numbers of horns, eyes or fingers and toes. They wear iron eyecloths, or loincloths made of pellets of great beasts. All Oni possess extreme strength and constitution, and many of them are so accomplished by sorcerers. They are ferocious demons, bringers of disaster, spreaders of disease, and punishers of the damned hell. The man and his gang were then first painted in red and blue, while dressed in animal pellets. They suggest wearing masks, but Fujio corrected them, saying that they would need the tusks of boars and some wigs to be part of the illusion. To complete the costume, Fujio put on stilts and hid the poles in some of the barriers of red plants where the leggings would be shown by the Nikomata to make them look taller. To make the illusion perfect, Fujio splashed some varnish all over the streets to make people think that the Onis are nearby. Prior to the Meiji period, of the date of the Japanese New Year had been based on the Japanese versions of solar calendar, to which it was the Tenpo calendar. And prior to the Jogyo calendar, the Chinese versions, however, in 1873, 5 years after the Meiji Restoration, Japan adopted the Georgian calendar, and on the day of January became the official and cultural New Year's Day in Japan. Japanese people eat the selection of dishes following the New Year celebration called Oshi's Yori, typically shortened as Onichi. Many of the dishes were sweet, sour, or dried, so they can keep without refrigerating. The culinary traditions, due to the day before the households and each refrigerators, were in most stores that were closed for the holidays. There were some variations of onshis, but some of the food were eaten in Legion were not in all of the other places, or considered to be inspicious or even banned. On New Year's Day, another popular dish is onsi, a soup moche rice cake, and other ingredients that differ based on the various regions of Japan. Today, sashimi and sushi are often eaten, but as well as the non-Japanese foods. To let the overworked stomach rest, 7 herb rice soups is prepared on the 7th day of January, known as the Jinnisu. Another custom to create and eat is rice cakes or mochi, boiled sticky rice and put into a wooden container, usu, and then painted with water, one by one, while another person hits it with a large wooden mallet, smashing the rice. It forms a sticky white dumpling. This is made before New Year's Day and eaten during the beginning of January. Mochi is another made into a New Year's decoration called kamachi mocha. formed by the 2 round cakes of mochi and tangerine, placed on top. The name Dedeya is supposed to be auspicious since it means several generations. At midnight on December 31st, the Buddhist temples all over Japan ring their bells a total of 108 times, to symbolize the 108 human sins of the Buddhist belief, and to get rid of the 108 worldly desires regarding sense and feeling a very Japanese citizen. A major attraction as the watch night at the bell in Tokyo. Japanese believe that ringing the bells can rid their sins during the previous year, as the bell is rung 107 times on the 31st, and once past midnight, it is so very common to eat buckwheat noodles called nutoshiya soba on New Year's Eve. The 6 Onis, taking Fujio's advice, waited patiently until midnight, and when the streets was fairly filled with partiers, before making their appearance. No sooner than the clock had ceased striking, however, then they rushed out of the shadows, with heavy strides due to the stilts, shrieking like savages, and falling to their arms to petrify them. The excitement amongst the platters of prejudice was filled to the head and the heart with the man of glee, as been anticipated. There were not a few of them in the crowd who were supposed to be ferocious-looking creatures, to be demons of some sort of reality. If not precisely Onis, many of the women swooned in the air fight, and not the officers had taken precaution to exclude all weapons from the streets. The party might have soon expiated as their frolic in their blood. While the tumult is at its height, and each partier attentive was into his own safety, as in for a fact there was really much real danger from the pressure of the excited crowd. Fujio, who had just followed noiselessly on the Onis' heels and indicating them to keep up the commotion, climbed onto the rooftops and enchanted to a nearby cemetery that arose a couple of skeletons, who ran over and held on to the stilts of the mask makers. The partiers by this time had recovered, and in some measure from their alarm, and beginning to regard their whole matter was well contrived pleasantly. Set up from the loud shout of laughter, the predicament of the Onis. "Leave them to me!" now screamed Fujio, as his shrill voice making itself easily heard through the din as he cuffed his mouth. "Leave them to me. I fancy know them, and if I can get a good look at them, I could soon tell who they are." Here, diving down from the rooftops, scrambling over the heads of the crowd, he managed to get into the wall, then seizing the torch from the ground, and headed towards the Onis. As he went on, the center of the streets leaping with agility monkey. Upon the man's head, there was a hen's chamber that flew off the feet, and the nearby fence, holding down the torch to examine the couple of group of Onis, and still screaming, "I shall soon find out who they are." And now, while the whole assembly, the Onis included, were convulsive with laughter, the Nikomata suddenly uttered the shrill whistle. When the skeleton, still grasping the stilts, hoisted them up and placed them in front of Fujio, and the Nikomata, clinging to the tree branch, still maintained his relative position into the respect of the mask makers, and still as if nothing were the matter, continued to thrust his torch down towards them, as in through endeavoring to discover who they were. So thoroughly astonished as if the whole company as is answered, that of dead silence. About a minute's of distration issued. It was broken just by a low, harsh, grating sound, as if it before attracted the attention of the man and his gang, when the former through the sake of the face of Kanata, but not only the present occasion, where there could be no question as to whence the sound issued, it came from with feints of the Nikomata, who ground them and garnished them as much as he foamed at the mouth. He glared with an expression of a maniacal rage, and upturned the consequences of the man with his 5 companions. "Aha!" said the length of the infuriated Nikomata. "Aha! I began to see what these people are now." Here, pretending to scrutinize the man more closely, he accidentally drops the torch onto the street in front of the 6 maskers. The next thing he knew, as the torch was made in contact with the varnish, and the entire road was engulfed in flames. The river of fire began to spread as the people scrambled to be out of the flames' way. Unlike the 6 maskers, who had developed due to the paint on their bodies being wooden stilts, they shrieked in agony as they flailed around, trying to put out the flames. In less than a half a minute, the whole 6 Onis were blazing furiously, amid the shrieks of a multitude who gazed at them, the horror-stricken and without the power to render them slightest assistance, and at the sight of the flames, suddenly increasing the voltage, forced the Nikomata to climb higher to the tree to be out of reach, and he made his movement that the crowd again sank for a brief instant into silence. The Nikomata seized this opportunity and once more spoke. "I now see distinctly," he said, "what a matter of these people maskers are. They are a criminal and his 5 henchmen. A criminal who does sculptor to strike defenseless girl, and his 5 crooks who have bit him in outrage. And as for myself, I simply Fujio the Nikomata, and this is my revenge." Owing the high conceivability of them both, the paint and the vanish, which are adhered, the Nikomata had scarcely made an end of this brief rant before work of vengeance was complete. The 6 corpses laid on the burning road, the fetid, blank, and hideous skeletal mess. The cat clambered down as surely of the rooftops and disappeared into the night. It was supposed to be Kanada, at station to one of the rooftops, that had been compiled with her friend in fiery revenge, and that altogether they effected their escape into their own country, for neither was seen again. Well, this was certainly a long Japan creepypasta, but that's probably something that you guys were wanting. Well, and that my pretties was Fujio, a creepypasta written by TheDarkCat97. Man, I haven't read any of his stories in like a while, actually. I think this is the first time I've read one of his stories in like quite a while. My final thoughts on the story? This is actually a pretty well made and really good creepypasta. Like, especially with the Japanese folklore, it honestly was pretty well done. Now, most of you guys probably remember I read a couple of Dark Cat stories, and I've been wanting to get to this one for a while. I don't know why I didn't get to it right away. I simply just don't know what got me into not, wanting to read them right away. Maybe there was something about it, but I don't know, to be honest. This was just honestly something that I've been kind of wanting to know, is like, why haven't I not sat there and get to this story? So, this story was pretty well made. It honestly has a really good concept for the story. Like, for one, the grammar of this story was actually pretty good, and it's actually a really well made story, as well as it has a good concept, and I really enjoyed this story. So I gotta really say, it just honestly was pretty good. And I definitely gotta say it honestly, I really like how everything went out. It's pretty good. So, Dark Cat, you did a pretty good, awesome job with this story. I'm not gonna lie. But I gotta say, the grammar was honestly pretty good. It was fantastic. So I gotta say, it's pretty good. I know I'm repeating myself so far, but, with that being said, I was interested in this concept. It honestly has a pretty well made for what it is. So I guess with that being the case, and that being said, I gotta say it's a damn well made story, I'm not gonna lie. Now, most of you guys probably remember I read a couple of, Dark Cat stories, and I finally had the opportunity. I don't know why in Geoshia Lost Episode Wiki the tags were, funny pasta. I don't really see this as a funny pasta. I don't know why it was listed as funny pasta. Maybe someone might have put it as that. I don't know. But like I said, I guess we'll have to find out. So I guess with that being the case, that being said, pretty good story. Like I said, the grammar is really good. It's got a really good storytelling. It's really well made. And I really like this story. So with that, being the case, and with that being said, this is just simply my own personal opinion. Now, if I had to say something, I would probably say it kind of went into too much detail. But, I mean, it did have a bit of history behind it. I don't know if this is something that is true or not. But like I said, it all depends on what people think. But like I said, maybe everybody's different in their own way. But like I said, this is just how I think personally. Maybe Dark Cat can comment and let me know more information, because I would like to hear what he thinks. So yeah, and I can definitely say I actually enjoyed narrating this story. So yeah. So with that being said, I'm gonna sit here and just say it's a good story. I really hope you guys can check this story out. Even though it's a long story, I still find it enjoyable. So pretty good job right there, Dark Cat. Now, I'm gonna say right now, this is just simply my own personal opinion, and if you happen to disagree with me, perfectly fine too. We're all entitled to our own opinions regards to these creepypastas, and this is simply my own personal thoughts. My final rating of the story is definitely a 10 out of 10. Really good, well made. It's a pretty good Japanese folklore creepypasta. I definitely gotta say it's well made in detail. So with that being said, with that being the case, what did you guys personally think of this creepypasta? Did you all enjoy it? Did you all not? Also, what you have done personally to help make this story a lot better? Feel free to leave me know what your thoughts are down in the comments below. I'm the Queen of Lions. Thank you so much for watching today's episode. If you're brand new here to this channel, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Ring the bell for notifications to when I upload, so that way you guys will not miss an upload. And as always, please roll the outro, because I'm out.